Well, hello everybody and welcome along to Snetterton with the cars already forming up on the grid. We've got the Clubmans Sports Prototype Championship heading off on their formation lap for what will be coming up the 10th round of their 2022 championship season. Multi-class, we've already seen these cars compete at Donington Park, at Silverstone and at Brands Hatch, so they're here at Snetterton on the 300 circuit, the full circuit, for 3 races over the course of this weekend. A further 2 races coming up at Alton Park. They're back to Brands. They'll finish their season at Donington Park. So the car's off on their formation lap. We should very shortly be able to guide you through the grid and the way that things line up on the run-up to the 10th round of their championship, which has, I say, already produced varying different winners. We've had wins for Cody Tree, who isn't out this weekend. We've had wins for Alex Champion. We've had wins for Clive Wood. But the reigning champion is yet to pick up a win. He does start from pole position. So you can see the weather is beautiful here today. It really is warm ambient temperature, slight breeze, but yeah, beautiful conditions. The forecast for all weekend is due to be very good indeed. So when we see the cars coming round, we'll guide you through the grid very, very shortly, and then we'll get the cars lined up on the grid, ready for what will be a 15-minute race for them. There's Brendan Hurd, who's qualified his Mallet Mark 20 towards the tail end of the field. So Brendan will be hoping to try and make progress from there. He was a little bit off the pace in qualifying, clearly had an issue with the car in qualifying because the time that he posted was not representative of him or car. So here's the grid then. Steve Dickens, the champion, starts from pole position. Alongside is Alex Champion with Jared Lester and Peter Richings lining up there on row number 2. The third row of the grid sees Adrian Lester lined up alongside Alan Cook, and row 4 of the grid, that's where we see Michelle Haywood and Mathieu Gauthier-Thornton. Row 5 of the grid, Ian Crombie at the wheel of his Mallet Mark 27, lines up alongside Tom Bellamy on the 5th row of the grid. And onto the next row of the grid, that's where we see Maurice Hart and Samantha Evans. The next row of the grid, which is row number 7, it's Rod Player and Paul Freeman at the wheel of the Gem and the Ardmore respectively, with row 8 being Tom Muirhead, who lines up alongside Martin Walker. 16 times a champion, Barry Webb lines up on the inside of the 9th row of the grid with alongside him Roger Watton. And then row number 10, it's Mike Upton, who has got Brian Hunter for company. And the 11th and final row of the grid, 22 cars having qualified, is David Barnett, who has Brendan Hurd sitting alongside. So that is the way that they line up on the grid. We mentioned Samantha Evans out there. Well, her father, Mike Evans, is shortly to join me in the commentary box, as he has done previously. He's just been busy making sure that his daughter is out on this formation lap and has seen her away from the assembly area, made the quick dash around the circuit to the outer perimeter, and then will join me in commentary. Samantha having qualified, what, 12th quickest, the lady from Chester, but it is Steve Dickens, the man from Toaster, who lines up there on pole position. So he had a win in the championship last year, having finished runner-up the year before in 2020, but it's fair to say that the title defence for Steve Dickens has been anything other than difficult. A mixture of non-finishes and non-starts in what the first 6 races of the championship season. Finally at Brands Hatch, things started to come good for him and we saw Steve on the podium for the first time. But it has been an enormously difficult 2022 championship season for him. So he'll be hoping that he can get things off to a good start here this weekend at Snetterton. And I'm delighted to say, joining me in commentary now, he's made the dash very quickly. Mike Evans joins me again. Mike, nice to be back at Snetterton again, and look at the weather you've brought.
Indeed, unbelievable. Glorious out there. 23 degrees, it says on the thermometer, and the cars have come over. So, yes, the drivers are going to know about these temperatures.
And I assume that means tweaking tyre pressures again and bringing them down, maybe so they don't go off too quickly.
Yeah, a little bit, after practice. We all made a note of what they were and probably dropped them a few pounds for the race.
Makes total sense. So Steve Dickens will start from pole position. We'll let Mike get his breath back a little bit. Alex Champion alongside. Colours of the car, silver and blue for Steve Dickens. It's a very light blue for Alex Champion. Row 2 of the grid, it's sort of black and green and day glow for Jared Lester, alongside the largely red car with the white flashes down the nose of it of Peter Richings. And the next row of the grid is Adrian Lester, light blue, grey and day glow, alongside the very light green colours of Alan Crook. So that's the order that they line up in on the grid. And as the lights go out, it's not a bad start, I would say, from Steve Dickens from the front row of the grid. The reigning champion getting things away well as they charge their way up towards Richie's corner for the first time. Jared Lester didn't get a bad start. He tries to sneak up the inside of Alex Champion, but Alex Champion having nothing of that at all and sweeps across the nose to prevent the overtake taking place there. Looks as though everybody is safely through the first corner, but Steve Dickens is leading the way at this stage from Alex Champion in second place, Jared Lester there in third position. I was talking, Mike, about
we've got Matt and Michelle, Quartier Thornton and Michelle Hayward here dicing over the CSP2 class lead with Maurice Hart and Tom Bellamy on the tail in the yellow and white car.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to keep an eye on what's going on in CSP2, but we've had a change for the lead of the race because Alex Champion has snuck through on the run out of Palmer and up towards Agostini and has taken the lead away from the reigning champion, who, as I say, Mike, has had an awful season, really.
Yes, indeed. Last year, his car was 100% reliable, apart from the last lap of the last race last year when he'd already sewn up the championship. But this year he's had a terrible time with engine problems and then a rear hub problem at Brands Hatch.
It really hasn't netted him a great deal of championship points at all. Good little fight going on there. You still see Maurice Hart, Tom Bellamy fighting away in CSP2, looking to try and close in on Michelle Hayward and Mathieu Gauthier-Thornton, who I think's taken up the lead of that.
Yeah, it looks like I think Matt was ahead there as they went onto the straight.
So down in towards the bottom of the braking area for Brundle and Nelson. The Phantom still leads. The Malik there in second position. Jared Lester in the Clubman sitting there in third place. And then it looks as though Adrian Lester has now snuck through in the background now. That looked like Adrian Lester having gone through and ahead of long time Clubman's racer Peter Richings there.
Yes, they are there. They are nose to tail there.
Yep, so that's another battle that we'll keep an eye towards as to whether Peter Richings can turn the tables. Driver who started racing, 1972 was it, we first saw Peter out in a Clubman's car. He's been a stalwart at the club for an enormous amount of years.
Yeah, I know. At the moment he's our competition secretary, so he's doing all the work of getting everybody organised for the meetings.
Like herding sheep though,
yes,
isn't it really?
It is indeed, poor lad, yeah.
Here we go, up towards Richie's corner. Steve Dickens is back in attack mode again. Alex Champion making sure that he just makes sure he positions the car where it needs to be so as to stem off the attack from the champion. They brake together at the same point and flick the car in towards the Wilson hairpin and start to build the power up again as they turn their way up towards Palmer. These two breaking away a little bit more now from the cars behind, and this is another good fight that we've got going on. That's Rodney Player, who we haven't seen much of, I don't think, this year.
No, that's right. Rodney was out at Brands Hatch, but has missed the early part of the season. But behind him, you've got this CSPB battle between Tom Muirhead and Martin Walker there. Well, Tom on the grass as well, so they've paired them side by side for the CSP lead.
And he'll have the inside line, won't he, for Palmer? So driver Tom Muirhead, who also races in a classic Lotus 7 in a category that caters for 1960s cars, goes through and takes up the lead of the race. He's from the racing family as well, isn't he? His father John Muirhead's raced for a very good number of years.
Indeed. I mean, I was a young lad in short trousers when I first attended Clubman's race meeting, and John was driving then and everything like that, but he's very quick in his day, and it's great to see him supported the class for so long.
He's still quick now, is John. I've got to say, he's still a very quick driver when we see him out. Less frequently nowadays, but yes, he's still quick. And now for Tom Muirhead, the next card he's going to want to try and squeeze his way through. That's Rodney Player's Gem, isn't it, that lies ahead?
Yeah, I think he'd be hoping Rodney gets up to speed 100% and gets going and everything like that. So Rod is obviously in CSP2, so he should be up the road.
So the separate classes again, CSP1, car engines up to a maximum of 2 litres or 1600 motorcycle engines. There's a brake horsepower cap there, isn't there?
We have a cap of 200 bhp, so we actually have a power logger unit that we put on the cars that verifies this just to make sure everybody's there. But Clubman's guys are all very, very honourable, and actually we've had no problems with that whatsoever.
CSPA is for 1700cc crossflow engine. CSP2 is for those that run the K series engine, the old Rover engine, and CSPB is for 1600cc, so proper Formula Ford engines.
That's right. So the CSP2 Rover engine is about 128, 130 brake horsepower, but a very light engine, so it makes very light car engine and driver combinations. And then the CSPB is the Formula Ford engine, which is probably about 105, 108 bhp, but a heavier engine like that. So they're just a little bit slower there. So often you do get the CSP2 and the CSPB leaders amongst each other.
Here are the leaders again, up towards Agostini. They're on lap 2 as things currently stand. Now, we've still got Alex Champion leading the way. Last time over the start-finish line, there was just a quarter of a second difference between the two of them. Looks like that might have stretched a little bit in the early stages of this lap.
Yeah, I was actually expecting Steve Dickens to hang on to Alex Champion's tail on that. Obviously, we're missing Cody True, who had a problem in practice with one of the front hubs on the car, so they're hoping they'll get that sorted for tomorrow. But obviously, Cody's the other front running lad in the Phantom car alongside Alex.
Well, I hope they get it sorted for tomorrow for Cody Tree, because I've already seen him come off the back of the grid once this season at Donington Park when he was away at a wedding or something and couldn't make it.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, he was good value, wasn't he, that weekend?
No, indeed. He normally is. He's always a fighting driver. And anybody who watched here last year when he and Clive Wood had a good old tussle and ended up in tears in the S's on the back straight. So.
That's Brian Hunter. Brian, who spent a good number of years racing north of the border, didn't he? He spent the best part of a few years racing north up in Scotland, but there's an issue with his rear wing, isn't it? Yeah, one of the left-hand side, isn't it? The upright's got a big bend in it.
Got a whack. Yeah, it's obviously had a whack from somebody or something there. So most
unusual. The difficulty is that can be quite dangerous, because of course the more load that goes on that wing as the speed builds up, the more likely it is to collapse.
Yes, yeah, but I think it's just bent. So hopefully, whether the marshals or observers will see that.
The end plate's missing off it, isn't it? The end plate was missing off it. Right, side by side for the lead of the race. Steve Dickens is trying the outside line this time at Richie's corner. That's not going to work, but...
Very brave there, and he's already diving to the inside ready for the next hairpin.
To be fair, Alex Champion gave him room as well. Typical Clubmans racing, wasn't it, that? Wheel to wheel, but give the driver room. Respect your fellow competitors, which is part of the ethos of the club, isn't it, really?
Yes, indeed, and that's obviously modern racing. Which Formula One is trying to dictate that there is actually a car's width there allowed for the other car, the other driver, if they are alongside you and everything.
So here they come up towards the braking area for Agostini once more. Long way back in the background is Jared Wood, but Alex Chamkin is having to drive overtime here to try and hang on to the lead of the race.
Yeah, so we've got, as you say, it's actually Jared Lester. Tom, your head pulled off. That's sad. Obviously, he was leading CSPB, so he's had to pull off.
So that will put into the lead of CSPB now.
It'd be Martin Walker.
Martin Walker from Barry Webb, I think, by the look of things. Yeah.
But here we have Tom Gautier-Thornton and Matt Gautier-Thornton, Michelle and Tom Bellamy fighting over the CSP2 battle.
Yeah, 3 cars fighting away. So that's the lead of CSP2, but that's 7th, 8th and 9th place overall, isn't it, at this stage? But it's Mathieu Gautier-Thornton, the London-based driver, that leads the way. Mathieu finished 3rd in CSP2 last year, whereas the car behind, the number 84 car in the hands of Michelle Haywood, was the champion, wasn't she? In the class
that's right, and she obviously set a really good time in qualifying. She's 2 minute dead or thereabouts. And she was looking to see where she gained 2 seconds on one lap. So she obviously hasn't quite found it, because they seem to be doing 2:02s. She's also asked, I don't do the curse of saying on the last lap. It can all happen. Obviously, last year, the first race, she manages to spin it at the last corner. Oh, she's going around the outside.
She's trying it at Brundle, didn't quite work.
Yeah.
And Mathieu Gautier-Thornton sort of squeezed her fairly, but just about gave her enough room. Now, Mathieu has picked up a load of grass, hasn't he, in that front left-hand corner. There's no radiator duct, is there, on that front corner of that car?
No, I think the radiators are on the side pods, halfway down the car.
So he's rather got away with that, then?
Yes, and he's got quite a good substantial splitter there, which is the important thing, certainly around this circuit. Here, there's always seems to be people on the grass here.
It's quite a narrow circuit. It's a fast but narrow circuit, and that's the problem. It encourages you to go faster and use more of the circuit and more of the curb, and then eventually the grass. When you find the limit. Now, Mathieu Gautier-Thornton seems to have escaped a little bit there, because all of a sudden it looks as though Michelle, the number 84 car, Michelle Haywood, has fallen back into the clutches of Tom Bellamy.
Indeed, that's right. And obviously she's been preoccupied keeping Tom behind her, rather than actually concentrating on Mathieu Gautier-Thornton in front.
Now, this is going to be the fight for 4th and 5th place, isn't it? Peter Richings, who lost out in the early stages as Adrian Lester snuck his way through. Now, Peter Richings is not giving up here, is he? He's looking to try and see whether he can do anything about it. Has he got the inside line? He's alongside. He's at the inside of Agostini.
Well done, Peter.
Through he goes.
Lovely move there. So.
And that was all geared up from the exit of the previous corner, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, often is the case here at Snetterton, where you can get your overtaking planned if you can round the right corner, stay on one side, and then the layout of the circuit helps you. So, and we've still got to lead over for the battle for the lead. And Steve goes around the outside. So Steve Dickens is there, gone round the outside of Alex Champion. Yeah, good move that again. That happened all the way back up at the other bit. And he's slow, almost coming out of Brundle and Nelson, which allows Alex Champion to begin to close in again. Didn't quite work, but yeah, that was all the exit again of probably Oggies, because Williams is a quick corner. If you get off Williams quick though, then you carry all that momentum all the way down the Bentley Straight, and Steve Dickens potentially looking to see whether he might be able to do what was probably at the beginning of the season unthinkable at this stage, so far on in the season, grab his first win. Yes, indeed. No, and it'd be interesting if his times come down, because the times have been a second or two off their qualifying pace, so maybe Steve's been taking it easy, allowed the car to get going, and now challenging.
Hotter ambient temperature as well,
Yes.
maybe affecting that as well. You just don't know, do you? For the lead of CSP2, though, there's no let-up in the battle. Matteo Gauthier-Thornton under attack from Michelle Haywood while she's trying to attack and defend from Tom Bellamy at the same time. Now, Gauthier-Thornton took an entirely different line, didn't he, coming up towards the bomb hole there?
Yeah, very unusual. So, but it seems to have worked.
Yeah, he's doing a good job there. Now, that car that he drives, that's the ex-Alex Champion car, isn't it, from a couple of seasons ago?
And it's run by Alex's BMEP team, so they're very, very good, very, very smart cars they turned out.
And again, by the time they get over the start-finish line, he's gapped Michelle Haywood again, so he's quick coming off Murray's. The car's quick, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. No, obviously he's getting a good run out of Morris, as you say, to pull away. So, and then the first corner is nearly flat out, so it's, you're not going to make much advantage through there. So it all starts then as we get to the hairpin and what I would call the infield part of the circuit.
Yeah, very technical. This infield section that was added to the track over 10 years ago now, nearly 15 years ago. Very technical, isn't it? Very technical section.
Yes, and I thoroughly enjoyed the infield. I actually enjoy this circuit. One of these circuits, for some reason, always gone reasonably well at.
It's one of those that when you get in the zone, there's a good flow to it, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. No, it's a really, really nice circuit. It's a long circuit, but it's got a real good mixture of corners, slow, medium, fast speed, and that. So, and the hairpins and everything. And then you've got really really fast final corners.
Paul Freeman at the wheel of the Ardmore, sneaking past Rodney Player. So that will be for 12th and 13th position. Rodney got himself ahead because Rodney was behind at the start of the lap. So he'd taken the lead off Paul Freeman, and Paul Freeman snuck back through again. So that's a good little fight that's going on between those two. It might be for sort of 5th and 6th in the class, but they're rolling their sleeves up and slugging it out, aren't they?
No, a real good tussle there. Is Rodney coming down the inside? Oh, yes, yeah. Paul rather left the door open there. Rodney took advantage of it straight away.
And Paul's car there, the Ardmore, I mean, how old is that now? Because I know that's the ex-Crichton Brown car, but how far does that go back in racing?
A long, long time, to the A-class days and everything like that. Probably 30, 40 years ago. But it pedalled really strongly by Paul Freeman.
Who builds a good engine.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So 3 minutes to go. Steve Dickens still leads the way, but then runs a little bit wide, which might just allow Alex Champion to squeeze his way through. Can he make it stick? That was the exit of Wilson, but he's going to try all the way around the outside at Palmer, but that would still give him the outside line when they get up towards Agostini. So again, good driving by both. Alex Champion then decides that he might see whether he can prise the door open on the inside, and through he goes.
Whoa, yes, we get lock up there and blue smoke from there. So
yeah, now is he going to get boxed in by Steve Dickens going through the back marker? Not quite, it's marginal. Steve Dickens don't quite stick the nose up the inside. Good, hard, fair racing.
Yes, excellent racing on that. So no, we're going well there. So it's funny, Steve obviously set a good fastest lap of this circuit, but somehow Alex has managed to tiger his way back past him there.
And it's important to know that you need to set a fast lap in this one, because this dictates the grid for race 2, doesn't it? Fastest laps.
Tomorrow morning, yes.
And a change for the regs for this year also means that the grid for race 3 is set by fastest lap as well now, which wasn't the case last year, was it?
That's right. So no, but Steve's there, still on Alex's tail.
And they'll be heading on to the last lap of the race this time through. So through and past Roger Watton's car. Roger, who we've seen racing TVRs and things in the past.
Yeah.
Which should hopefully move neatly out of the way, the man from Wareham.
There you've got Martin Walker leading CSPB on his serene way there, looking at him. No, where's Barry Webb? Barry's normally right up there with Martin, but
he's second in the class at the moment. Yeah, he's about 13 seconds behind him, Barry. So it's not really happened for Barry.
No, that's unusual. Barry seemed to be a little bit steady at Brands GP, which he said he didn't really get the better of and everything like that. But Martin's going really well and has done the last few meetings. Really got the pace up leading CSPB.
And Martin.
What player's got a problem? He's having to pull over. That's a pity.
He was looking to try and retire the car in a safe place, and yet inadvertently nearly took out the CSPB leader, Martin Walker, who I have to imagine breathed sigh of relief. And we've had a change for the lead of the race again. Steve Dickens has gone back through whilst we were looking at that and has taken the lead back away from Alex Champion. So what's that, 4 or 5 changes of lead so far? Steve Dickens looking for his first win of the season. Alex Champion looking for his 3rd win of the season, and back-to-back wins if he can make it as well, because he won the final race at Brands, but he's been undone on the final lap, and Steve Dickens has got a gap.
Yeah, and we've got Jared Lester coming onto Alex Champion's tail, so Alex is going to have to be careful here. I don't know whether there's a problem with someone getting warm. It seems to have slow down a little bit. So.
Jared Lester hasn't really seen much drop off in the lap times of his car, last lap to best lap, whereas the other two have dropped off quite significantly. So just wonder if maybe their tyres now are feeling it a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. So, but Jared and Adrian, obviously, and father and son in the two cars. Oh, yeah.
Champion's got a problem.
Yes, yeah, he obviously has a problem. Yeah, slowed right down there.
Oh,
that's a pity.
Oh, he's not even going to make it round after leading the race. Alex Champion's going to post another retirement because he's had a couple of those already, hasn't he? And non-starts as well.
That's right. That's a real blow for him. But you've now got Jared Lester up into second place. And he looks like he's almost gaining on Steve Dickens.
Jared Lester has done this year what Steve Dickens did last year. Be consistent, hasn't he?
Yes.
He's not finished outside of the top 5 in any race so far this season.
No.
And he's been on the podium in the vast majority of them.
That's right. And Father Adrian as well have done really, really well. Because last year the cars were not reliable. They've worked hard over the winter and come on good. But here we have Matt Gauthier-Thornton and Michelle Hayward still battling over the CSP2 lead. So that's going to be, as always, down to the last corner, no doubt.
So here comes Steve Dickens. He's about to head over the start-finish lane, and the champion claims his first win of the season in what's been a troubled 2022. It's going to be Jared Lester that comes through to finish in second position. Wait the arrival of the car in third place. It should be Peter Richings to come over the start-finish line, the red car with the white flashes to it. But who's going to win CSP2? We'll have to wait and see. It's still just Mathieu Gauthier-Thornton, but it's not for want of trying, is it, for Michelle?
And she's dropped back a little bit, so obviously still about a third of the lap to go, but Michelle looks like she had to go and drop back a little bit, but you never know. As I say, the last corner here, she's still trying hard.
And Mathieu hasn't had a class win this season.
No, that's
Despite
right.
the fact he's been right up there, he's not had a win in Class CSP2.
No, I say he'll be over the moon with that.
He will. Well, he's still got to take the checkered flag. Wait and see. It all might go terribly long for him. No, it hasn't. He's coming out of Murray's now. He's accelerating his way up towards the start-finish line. It's going to be 7th, the class win, his first class win of the season, and a hard-fought one for Mathieu Gauthier-Thornton.
That's right, really hard-fought. Yes, the pair of them now. And Tom Bellamy, who was third, seems to have dropped back somewhat. So is he still going?
Yeah, Tom's still going. Yeah. So I think so. And who's going to pick up the win in Class CSPB? That looks as though that is without question going to go the way of the car of Martin Walker, which is arguably one of the oldest Maliks in the field, is it not?
Yes, that's right. Mark 18 is quite an old car, so. But no, Martin's a young lad. He's really come on well the last few years, really enjoying his racing, real good team effort with his girlfriend and their mate who helps out. I mean, it's amazing. The guy's working away in the paddock. And
if you ever want to buy a racing car that just doesn't depreciate, a Clubman's car is one to do.
No, indeed. No, this. I mean, the series has been going well. It's about 57th season, I think it is for us. So, and the cars, and as they get a bit older, we've got the classic Clubmans series as well. Obviously, run by the HSCC that you can race as well. So there's 2 different championships you can go and race in.
So here he comes over the start-finish line. There we go. Martin Walker comes through to claim the win in Class CSPB, and that's his third class win of the season so far in Class CSPB. So we will guide you through the top 10 in just a few moments' time once we get the last couple of flat cars over the start-finish line to take the checkered flag. So to confirm the results, Steve Dickens claims the win from Jared Lester in second place and Peter Richings in third. Fourth was Alan Cook, and fifth was Adrian Lester, with Mathieu Gauthier-Thornton picking up the Class CSP2 win in sixth place ahead of Michelle Hayward, Tom Bellamy, Ian Crombie, and then finishing the top 10 was Maurice Hart. Just to pick up on other winners of their respective classes outside of the top 10, look down to 13th position, and that is where we see the winner of Class CSPB, which is Martin Walker. So that's it from the Clubman Sports Championship Race 1 of 3 this weekend at Snetterton. I am guessing, Mike, you're going to join me for the remaining 2 races over the weekend.
Yeah, I hope so, yes, indeed. I hope to see you later on, Mark. Yeah.
There we go. So thank you to Mike Evans, representing the Clubman Sports Prototype Championship. But that's it from Race 1 of the weekend for the Clubmans. Join us, though, for their other 2 races over the course of the weekend. Until then, it's goodbye.